Hello, Sangha. Welcome to the Evidence Address. Today is Thursday, April 5th, 2018. So we'll continue on looking at some important Zen scriptures and texts and references. And today I'm going to hold up the series called The 10 Oxherding Pictures. Okay. So you see these at the temple. There's along the east wall there's 5 of them on this side, and then the changing areas, and 5 of them on that side. And a lot of people think they're just cool, Asian decorations or what have you. But actually, the Oxherding pictures are a very specific map. They're a depiction of the stages of growth in the spiritual journey. So in one sense, there are no stages. There is no recipe. There's no formula. It's all exactly as it is, perfect and complete, lacking nothing right here. Inherent perfection, all that stuff, and that's definitely the case. And on the other side of the same hand, there are mappable stages of development that we can see. And I would assert that these don't exist only in Zen, that any spiritual path, human development path, will have something similar, although of course we have a unique expression. So the original series of these came from about the 12th century. Kakuan was a Chinese patriarch, and he took the Oxherding, the pictures of the bulls and so on, comes from a Taoist kind of trope that he took and used. And he composed then his own verses to go along with them. And these made their way into Japan and then to our Zendo here in Toledo. So it's interesting to look at them and to kind of muse on them. Sometimes students ask me, where am I? Boy, I'd like to start teaching now, or whatever. And so people don't actually realize that there's a pretty hefty lift to be done in terms of working through actually integrating all this stuff. It's one thing to have some insight. It's another to actually integrate it and live from it. So the Oxherding pictures. Now, where we could access these, if you do a search on YouTube, whatever, they'll come up. I'm going to put a link below here in the notes to the show of some online resources. Most of us in the West encountered these in a book called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. This was in the 50s. Senzaki Roshi and Paul Reps put these together. But this I think is where the first time where most of us in the West got a chance to kind of look at these things. I could be mistaking there, but I think this is pretty much where they first came from in the West. And it's been re-edited and reprinted and so on. And they really stand the test of time. There's a lot of deep meaning in the imagery, and there's a lot of nuance and subtlety as they unfold. Now, one of the ways that we kind of work with this in the Sangha, in the Great Heartland Sangha, is that as a student moves through certain stages of development in koan study or in shikantaza, they kind of map onto this system in a kind of a way. So, for example, this is interesting. The 8th stage is emptiness, is actually seeing emptiness. And it was originally the case that the whole thing stopped there. And then it was in that 12th century that they were like, well, not really. What about the source? Realizing the source, that's an interesting one. And then it kept going from there, finally into this one, which I love. This is Into the World. And you see here the figure who's, he's got worldly robes on, and he's got the dirt of the village on him, and he's got a wine sack and a walking stick and some toys, maybe kind of a Santa Claus kind of figure. And he's interacting with people in the world. See, brilliant insight here. So I was saying about the collections. Typically what we think of is we just say, someone at the first stage of training, you're working with your breath, and you're counting the breath, and there's a couple of different ways we do that in sequence. And then a person starts to eventually just follow the breath, and that's sort of like a transition. And then this one, of course, the first stage is you're just kind of wandering around clueless. The character here, anyway, is wandering around clueless, doesn't know even where the tracks are or where the ox might be. The ox is self-nature. That's what it's standing for. And then here, the second one is discovering the footprints. So now you're on a meaningful, the hunt is on, see, the game is afoot, meaningfully so. And that's where we start to do the moo questions. It's called Muji, which is the checking questions for moo. And that's that's an incredibly significant place, deeply, deeply important to encounter this. And again, what it relates to is, you're seeing the tracks of the ox, see. The third one here is glimpsing the bull. Of course, it's behind a tree, and you see the rump, and you're not quite exactly sure what it is. There's something there. Clearly, there's something there, but it's not clear exactly what the thing is that's there. You're not in relationship to it yet, and so on, but it's been seen, see. And so this for us would be when a student is working in the miscellaneous cases, which comes after the moo checking questions, to clarify that matter. And then here, stage 4, catching the bull. This for us maps onto the gateless gate. So working through those koan that start with Joshu's moo and works all the way through. So anyway, it goes on and on and on. And it's a beautiful little map, a little way to see. For those that don't do koan study, it's trickier to name and to see. It definitely works. It definitely can happen, and the same stages occur, but it's different in its manifestation. Now, another resource I'll hold up, and this will be the last one, is this was a book, a little booklet, I guess, a tiny one called Path of Enlightenment: Stages in a Spiritual Journey by Daido Roshi. And I'm pretty sure Myotai Sensei had a hefty hand in the editing of this thing. Well, I won't dig around for it now. But anyway, this has actually some pretty good description about the different stages and how they unfold and so on, dealing with the true self. So that if somebody wants something to look at that's a little more robust than just some images and the commentaries themselves, the poetry themselves, this might be a place to look. Back in my day, this was printed from Dharma Communications Press. I'm not sure if it's even available now or where one can get it. Oh, Ryushin Sensei was the editor on this. Cool. Anyway, there we are. Stages in a spiritual journey, Path of Enlightenment, and then Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. But it's not about these two books. It's really about the ox herding pictures. So enjoy it, take it up, hang out with it, and don't make a thing out of it. Don't make it something to worry about. Just kind of notice it and let it go. Enjoy. Thank you, everybody.